What up, my friends, and welcome back to the Road Show. Thank you for rolling with us. I'm your official voice of youth and high school sports, Chad Ricardo. That's the Magic Man, our producer, Mr. Chandler Richards.
Chad, what's going on, man?
We took a week off there, bro. I absolutely missed you, man. I hear that you've had another papoose down there in Kentucky.
Yeah, we've got an addition to the family. It makes two young men running around. Well, one's running around the house at full steam, and then the other, he's dreaming about running most of the time. I'm almost positive of it.
Well, certainly congratulations to you on that. Today on today's show, we're obviously going to speak about a few young men that are running. One in particular, a young man by the name of Erik Dixon from down there in Belfry. This is someone that you've had an opportunity to scout, to take a look at, and I understand that you're impressed by him.
Very impressed, man. Of course, Belfry being the powerhouse school that it is in Kentucky, they produce a lot of great athletes, but sometimes it's hard to get those athletes on a platform to be recognized. And Erik Dixon has had a tough time doing it. His sophomore season, he was hurt. His junior season last year, the first 5 games he had to sit out because of injury, ends up coming back and just blows the Kentucky high school football out of the water. Goes to the state championship. I think he rushed for almost 300 yards. It was like 280 something yards, a handful of touchdowns, I think. And you don't do that as a running back at Belfry, first off. So he's just outstanding. And so I talked to him about the shadow of COVID. He's a 2021 grad. Well, now it's predetermined that they are going to start in the fall, but that was up for grabs, and he was he might have lost a little hope there for a little bit.
And taking a look at his film, as you said, a running back and athlete as would likely be his overall classification, because he can do it all out there on the football field. He has excellent speed, excellent toughness, and good size as well. So the college coaches, especially now that he's going to have a chance to display his skill, should definitely have their eyes on him. Now, Chandler, beyond what he does on the football field, I understand that you also find him to be a highly quality young man.
Oh, for sure, Chad. He's easy to talk to, which is it's not hard to talk to a high school student athlete. It's not hard to talk to anybody in high school, really. But there's that age where they're not socially there yet and everything. But Erik has it on every level. He's a good kid. He's got great character. He works really, really hard off the field. Not only in the weight room, but in the classroom as well. So, I mean, you just add all that together and you get a great student athlete, you get a great person.
And this was one of the things that was extraordinarily impressive to not only yourself, but to me as well. A young man that communicated on his own regard with you as in this way. Erik said, "I'm going to be honest with you. I lost my drive to want to play in college for a while. I put in hours of work to go to 2 schools. I've wanted to go my whole life, and then I felt like I just had it all taken away from me, and there was nothing I could do about it. No matter how much hard work I put in, or how much I ran, or how much good food I ate and water I drank, I just felt like I was going to be a hometown football player, and that could have went somewhere. And I just gave up. And then I went and I talked to someone I trusted and I looked up to, and I realized I can't give up, not yet at least. Even if I don't get to the school I want, I can go to a small school and play and show that I can play, and then transfer out and go to a bigger school. And ever since then, I've worked harder than I ever have. I work out 5.5 hours a day. I sprint to keep my speed up. I gained 11 pounds in 1 month. I've been doing everything I can to try to go somewhere and prove myself. And for you, Chandler Richards, to sit and say that you will take time out of your own life to help me means the absolute world to me." It's a powerful message. How did you feel when you received that message, Chandler?
You know, I even get kind of emotional now thinking about it, that somebody of his skill level was to that point. Like they didn't know what to do anymore because they felt like it was all stripped away from them because of, something as unprecedented as the coronavirus. I mean, it hit everybody in a different way. And the student athletes, I feel like, that have been working hard, and, they put everything into something that they want to go receive an education for free and playing the sport that they love. It's sad to think that would be taken away from somebody who might not have the chance otherwise.
And that is what we're here for here on The Road Show, spotlighting and showcasing student athletes from across the nation, helping them get a little bit of shine. Chandler Richards, this is your R&R Exclusive with Mr. Isaac Dixon.
I'm glad to have you back on, and the first thing that I kind of want to talk about is what's going on right now. And I know that me and you have spoke a little bit before, but with COVID-19, it's put everything out of line, man, and much exactly what you just told me before. But I want to know your thoughts on the whole situation, and what's it really like? What's it really feeling like to be a high caliber athlete and facing the adversities that this is bringing to the table?
Well, it's definitely put a damper on things. It's not just for me, but everyone on my team, everyone else on every other team. It sucks to know that you put in hours of work to go into your senior year and want to compete to the best of your ability, and to just put hours upon hours into becoming the best athlete you can be, and then to have it, I guess, taken away from you. Something you can't control, something that no one can control, but it's just, I don't know, it's not.
It's unreal, man. It's unreal. It's something that you did that factor that there's not going to be a season at all. And that's a lot for a young man your age that has this vision of doing, great things, and probably has had a vision for the last, I don't know, how many years have you been playing football?
I didn't play the first two, so I was, I think, 8.
So I see, but like you're 18 now. 10 years.
17, about to.
Yeah, 10 years you've had this, I mean, not saying it's this exact dream, but you've had a dream to go do bigger things. And I know what have you created for yourself to make sure that you're on top of everything, given the season does start back when it's supposed to?
Like I mentioned before, ever since it happened, I've been on a really good schedule. I have a coach that's really putting the time for me and a few other players. Yeah, we come in, we work out from 3 about 5:30, sometimes 6, depending on what we do. And then here recently, back when they dropped a few rules, we could come in as a group, for the football team, and do a few things here and there. And we would work out and then go to what we have is called speed camp, and we would do a bunch of feet work and stuff like that. And I've been trying to stay on top of that, eat right, drink right, because in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking I have a football season coming up. So I want to be on the top of my game. I ended up getting hurt, missed 5 games last season. It was unfortunate. So I'm really trying to come back and prove to myself and everybody else that I'm a lot better than what I've been given due to being hurt the last 2 years.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And you have every reason to want to show that, because you haven't been unleashed to your, full potential. Not everybody has seen a full season of Isaac Dixon on the varsity level. And man, I think everybody would be pretty shocked if they did, because the numbers that you put up last year, sitting out 5 games, y'all go to the state championship and you put on a show. What are you looking forward to the most about this upcoming season?
If we have one, I'm looking for the leadership. There's a lot of kids in my class that I believe will step it up, knowing that we just came off of a state championship win, and from the looks of it, everyone wants to go back. We have 70-some kids putting in the work every single day trying to go back to where we were. So I'm honestly more excited to see about the leadership on the team this year.
Like, as far as the upperclassmen and the underclassmen this year?
Yeah, we lost quite a few seniors last year, which is unfortunate. But the seniors that we have this year we're gonna be all right.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like we're a closer class, the closest class to each other than all the other classes, and that's just, I mean, we've been together for 4 years now, so I guess that does give us an advantage. The lower classmen have been outstanding. It's honestly the most work that I've seen out of lower classmen since I've been here, including myself. There's kids that come in with me and work out and go to speed camp. I mean, you can tell that the want this year is a lot. It's there.
Give me some advice that you would give to a younger athlete that maybe has faced some of the same adversities that you're facing, or maybe they go through a struggle like this with the football season in jeopardy.
Don't give up. I mean, I'll be honest. There's a time that I didn't think about going to college for football, and that was I was giving up. And I sat down and I talked to somebody that I looked up to, and they talked to me for a little bit, and I realized that even with all this happening and chances are very, very slim, you still got to, I mean, if you want it bad enough and you believe in it, then you got to go. You can't give up no matter what. That's just something I live by.
If anything doesn't happen, at least you can say you tried. If something does happen, it happens, man. You get to do what you wanted to do. But if you don't do anything at all, you'll always wonder what could have happened.
R&R Exclusive with Isaac Dixon. Chandler, first of all, that was a tremendous job. He is a special student athlete.
Yeah, for sure, Chad. And I want to see him be happy because he made the decision to stick around and play the sport that he does love. I want to see him be happy because he gets to go to college and gets an education. As of right now, he's working his butt off, man. He's working hard. He's doing everything he has to do, like he said. I just want to see Isaac Dixon reach full potential that I know he's capable of.
College coaches, get eyes on Mr. Isaac Dixon. This, of course, is football, high school sports in the shadow of COVID-19. Chandler, I believe that you said that you all down in Kentucky will be playing football, fall sports in the fall. Up here in all of the DMV, high school sports have been postponed. This is major effects on recruiting classes across the country. And to talk about recruiting and help us out, we're going to bring on Mr. Erik Richards. Erik Richards, thank you for rolling with us here on the Road Show. Listen, brother, I know you as the GOAT of high school football, but one of your official titles is All-American Bowl Selection Committee Recruiting Coordinator. It is an absolute honor for you to roll with us on the Road Show, brother.
Man, I'm glad I could make it on episode 26.
Listen, we're talking about high school sports, football, of course, in particular, in the shadow of COVID-19. This is something that has some schools, some states starting on time, others are postponed, some are even canceled. We'll get you started on this. What are your thoughts on high school football in the shadow of COVID-19?
Wow, it's really unprecedented times, Chad. I mean, you know, one thing about asking me a question, you're going to get a not so politically correct answer, right?
That's why we brought you on.
I'm going to tell it to you I'm going to tell it to you from my view. I think some of the states that, you know, have kind of postponed and pushed it off for a couple weeks, I think it was a smart move to let those particular school systems get their legs up under them so that everything starts with cohesiveness as far as having your student body back, having those measures put in place, you know, from a safety guidelines, whether it's mask and goggles, social distancing, whatever. I think that was smart of those states. Some of the states that are canceling football altogether, I mean, I'm hearing all kind of stories, and some of it I don't like. I'm hearing that, you know, some states are doing it for budget reasons. In other words, they didn't send their helmets out back in March or April to be reconditioned, and now they're up against the clock, and they know if it's to send the helmets out, could be 6 to 8 weeks to get them back, and everything else. And especially from a cost standpoint, you're going to pay about double now what you'd have paid back in the spring, because everybody's trying to jam and get them done and everything. And so it's disappointing that states are already taking the stance like, look, we're not even going to try a system. We're not even going to come up with an alternative plan. But I've seen some states cut it down and do a home and away against 4 or 5 schools, and that's smart. You can limit the student body, where the home team gets to have their student body. They can spread out. You can limit passes to family members only, where each player only gets 4 passes or something. So there's all kind of things that could be done, Chad. I hate it for states, and it's not so. Everybody's focusing on the 2021 player. It's not so much the 2021 player, because, as you know, many of those have scholarships in place and everything else. It's the Division III player for 2020-21, but more importantly, the 2022s, because that is that important year, your junior season, to where you kind of position yourself in the stacking order of where to get scholarships. Now, the good thing about that, Chad, I don't mean to be long-winded on this, is the good news is those football programs at the D1, D1AA, D2 level still are going to have 25 scholarships they got to use, right? They're not going away. They're not disappearing in the air. So they're going to have to do a little bit like we're doing at the All-American Bowl, and you're going to have to shoot blind and right, take a chance off of an athlete's sophomore film. So that's the answer in a nutshell. I know that's long-winded, but that's kind of where I stand.
When you take a look at recruiting, because now the three of us, we're in 3 different states. At least that's what I like to tell myself. I'm up here in the DMV area. We are fully postponed until at least February in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I know that you're in the Georgia region. I believe that you all are going to have some football in the fall, and Chandler, I believe that you all are going to have some football in the fall as well. From a recruiting perspective, how do colleges tackle this as they begin to work on their boards, but they've got some teams playing and other teams not playing? Are our student athletes behind the 8 ball because college coaches won't be able to see them right now?
Well, here's football's such a physical game. If you push those games to the spring, like California, Nevada, Washington, DMV area, if you push those games to the spring, Chad, and let's say you play 8 or 10 games, and let's say you end in April or May, now you have to turn around within about a month, start training again to get right back in August. And some of those teams could possibly play a 14, 15 game schedule next fall, right? So now you're starting to talk about 23, 24, possibly 30 games in a spring schedule. I just don't think it's good for the body. It's not. I mean, football's not baseball. It's not basketball. There's a reason there's a 7 to 8 month break at the end of the season. It takes that long for your body to recover. So that's the bigger issue to me. Is okay, you prolonged the problem. You moved it to the spring. Hopefully we have a vaccine by then. Maybe that's why you moved it to the spring. But now you've compounded another problem to where you're going to put 8 to 10 games of wear and tear on that athlete in the spring, and then ask him to turn around, get his summer camp schedule in, and start training for a fall season in July or August of next year. I think it's too many.
I'm going to be honest with you. I am of 2 different thoughts about the whole concept of playing football in particular right now at this point. Being someone, especially up here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, the safety of our student athletes is a huge concern of mine. Also, being from a more urban area in which I've seen friends and family members fall to the wayside, and athletics was the only thing it was that kept them on track. I also know the importance of athletics at all points in time during the year. How do you personally believe that coaches, administrators, etc., in places like Georgia, in places like Florida, in places like Texas, where cases are on the rise, how do they make that decision in terms of whether it's more important to keep the student athletes safe or to get them back out there on the field around their football family?
Well, Chad, you had the pleasure of being a Top Gun, 866 players. Knock on wood, we've not had one reported case of COVID from the Top Gun camp that's now going on 16 days removed. But the thing you got to see down there is for the first time at that camp in the history that I've ever run camps, I had 866 players there, and I had 866 parents come up and tell me, thank you. Thank you for getting their athlete out of the house. Thank you for providing that platform, because I understand there's been some cases of adolescent teenagers contracting this and getting sick and everything, but the numbers overall don't support that that's the target audience that's contracting this. And I think it's just doing far more harm than good of taking away not only sports, but school. Let's just talk about school. I just don't think it's healthy for an adolescent to be caged up in a house, social distancing or not, for the better part of 6, 8, 10 months. But I think everybody's going to do their job from a cleanliness. I mean, I think, look, the one thing this did bring out that needed it is, I mean, how many restaurants did you walk into pre-COVID, Chad? And the place, the bar was filthy, the restaurant was filthy, the tables weren't bussed. The one thing it's going to do is hopefully clean up, because everything could stand to be a little bit cleaner. We could all stood to wash our hands 3 to 4 more times a day. We could all stand to not touch our face. We could all stand to, how to correctly cough or sneeze, and there. But so hopefully that from that standpoint, this is going to be more positive than negative long term. But back to your question about how coaches handle it, I think you gotta do just like restaurants are doing. You got to be more proactive with the equipment. You may have to go into a locker room and put distance in between each player. I think what you're seeing in professional sports, where they're testing, and just what happened to the Miami Marlins the last 48 hours, they just shut down the whole team, and hopefully that confines it. They get it under control, and then they can roll those guys back out in 7 days. So that's got to be done in all the way down at the high school level, to where if a team or area gets an outbreak in their locker room, they can't hide it. You got to man up. You got to quarantine and got to flush it out. That's the only way we're going to eradicate this horrible virus.
Now, obviously, there are still a lot of decisions to be made about the upcoming season. So if this one has not been made yet, I certainly understand. In terms of the All-American Bowl, with the fact that some states are not going to be playing in the fall, to your knowledge, is the All-American Bowl today planning to play in January, or could we see a move of that as well?
I think that's a great question, because it's come up over the last couple of weeks, and obviously NBC is just going to monitor the situation very closely. We're kind of relying on what Texas high school football does, Chad, as the game is there. But if we get to a point to where 50% of our athletes on the roster are not having a fall season, then maybe the plug has to be pulled, right? Because, I mean, it's not fair for those athletes' first and only game of the season. The level of play down there at the All-American Bowl. You can't ask a 4-star athlete to step on the field in San Antonio and that be his first game. You're begging for injury stuff. So I think the situation is going to be monitored closely. Obviously, Comcast is the parent company for NBC, and they'll make the correct call on that. But I do know that a lot of eyes are on Texas high school football, being that that's where we count on the referees from. I think this is one of the few years that we probably won't encourage fans to come. I think given the combine and the numbers it usually does, That's going to have to be rethought, whether that event goes off this year. So a lot's still up in the air. The latest, I'm watching the news every day, and it seems like a vaccine may be available by November. The vaccine comes, and they're able to launch it and get it active and people by the millions, then obviously that changes the name of the game.
Could certainly be a game changer. This is my final question for you, and it piggybacks off of that. Obviously, 4 states such as mine up here, in which student athletes are not going to be able to play until the spring, I begin immediately to think of All-American Bowl commits, the Caleb Williamses of the world, the Landon Tangwalls of the world, et cetera, et cetera. And not to say those student athletes in particular, but many student athletes are considering graduating early and just early enrolling at their college of choice. If you were advising, would you advise a 4 or 5-star that's already committed to play their senior season in the spring, or would you advise them to early enroll?
No, I think, I'll probably get in trouble on this one, Chad, and that's probably why you answer the question. But let's use Corey Foreman for example. He's the number 1 player in the country, out of California, defensive end, and their schedule has been moved to the spring, and rightfully so. He's going to go ahead and leave and get ready for college. He's earned the credits to graduate. Caleb's the same way. It's a shame because I'm always a team first guy. But you got to understand there's bigger apples for those guys in getting to that school. And now, as much as freshmen are counted on in the fall at an early stage, because the real good ones are only staying 3 years anyway. As much as freshmen are counted on, they have to have that spring season. I think an interesting trend from the All-American Bowl, when I first started doing this, we maybe had 5 players that left the All-American game and went straight to their universities. Now that number's closer to 60 that leave San Antonio and go straight to their universities and start that winter semester and stuff. So, I think each decision's in, but if I'm in a situation like Caleb Williams or Corey Foreman or JT Tuimalo out of Seattle, and the plan was to go ahead and graduate in January, I think I would stick with that plan.
It's a business decision at the end of the day. And that is the conversation that I have with student athletes when I have the opportunity as well. Erik Richards, as always, a wealth of knowledge, brother. That's why no matter what is said beside your name, I like to call you the GOAT. Thank you for rolling.
Hey, on episode 52, which is exactly 26 weeks from now, let's come back and talk recruiting and be over this coronavirus stuff.
Let's do it, brother. Chandler, get us out of here. What did you take away? There were so many important and impressive things we talked about there. What was the biggest takeaway that you took from that conversation?
I think that, in the beginning when he talked about the grad classes and who's being affected most, I think he was exactly right. And earlier we did have, we talked about Isaac and him being in that 21 class, and there are those select few that are, I shouldn't say select few. There's a handful that are fighting for their senior season because they need that. But that 2022 class, it's the whole class that's still fighting for those spots. And that's really something to put into people's minds, is that it's not only that it's not only the seniors this year, it's the ones that are going to be seniors next year. And we talked about it before. It creates a ripple effect, and it doesn't stop there. It's going to start again when y'all are playing in spring. Football's already over here, and colleges are looking. It's just going to be, I don't know, man. It's tough to wrap my head around it.
Very, very interesting year that we're going to be going to. And again, there are a lot of individuals that feel 2 different kind of ways about this. Nothing is more important to me than the safety of our student athletes. I had an opportunity to speak with Adam Friedman of Rivals, and just a couple of tips for our parents and student athletes out there that are watching now. If your fall season is postponed and or canceled, Adam Friedman speaks to the importance of making it out to every camp and combine that you possibly can right now. Not only making it out there, but to befriend and to form professional relationships with those in the media, such as Mr. Chandler Richards here, so that those in the media can serve as unbiased third-party representatives of what it is that you can do on the football field and serve as liaisons to college coaches, as the dead period, NCAA dead period, I believe, has been extended through August the 31st. So build these relationships. Be sure to get your film up, get it out on social media. Chandler and myself will certainly be here to retweet it. Right, Chan?
We're here, man.
We are here. And that is going to bring us to our final stop here on the Road Show. We want to thank everyone who rolled with us today. Mr. Isaac Dixon of Belfry, Erik Richards, the GOAT, Czar, whatever you want to call him. On behalf of my producer, Mr. Chandler Richards, I'm your official voice of youth and high school sports, Chad Ricardo. We'll see you next week. No more prophetic words could be said than we are here. We are here for you.